Okay, so they say three times is a charm. I have recorded this video. This is the third time because I just can't stop talking. The first one was 19 minutes. The second one was over 17 minutes. We're gonna get under 15 minutes with this one. So, welcome to Grounded Theory as I am beginning to understand and grasp it. It was important for me to be able to translated a lot of the language into language that I could understand and that I could hold on to. Um, so, what I did was really think about something that I wanted to find out, that I wanted to experience, that I wanted to shed light on without reaching too far, really thinking about what I had access to. And my friend Nan came to mind, who I've been friends with for over 15 years. She's really like my family. We were roommates, we've traveled together, worked together, all of that. So I first of all know that a lot of the really soft, um, delicate spots, as far as her story, she feels safe with me, knowing and trust me and holding and creating that space for her. So her mother is in her 80s, and right now she's dealing with the early onset of dementia. And Nana and I have gotten in conversations about her grieving process, letting go of who her mother once was, exhibiting more compassion and patience as far as who her mother is becoming. And then she also lit up when she started to talk about, her mother's love of show tunes and how that seems to be the place where her mother is fully grounded and rooted in everything that's going on and can go into specifics where, 10 minutes later, she might not remember where Nan lives or what she does or any of that. So, the first thing that I did was I found a definition of grounded theory that I resonated with, that I was able to hold on to, where the language kind of, just jumped out at me. So, grounded theory, a qualitative research design in which the inquirer generates a general explanation of a process, an action, or an interaction shaped by the views of a large number of participants. So, and grounded theory is a good design to use when a theory is not available or or yeah, is not available because I can't even read my I was writing so quickly. Um, and what I ended up what this led to, because what I've realized is that with each thought came a series of questions and just influenced a whole different level of um, brainstorming and thought forms just creating. So a mantra came out of that definition in order to further simplify it for me. So, and it spoke more to what my mission would be with my topic of interest. I'm grounded in the theory that serves to explore all it is that I have a desire to see, feel, and grow as a result of this phenomena. So, from, you know, um, Nan's story with her mother, the first question that came to mind was, does music and movement have an impact on depression? Valuable question to ask. And although, I could get really deep into an answer, at the end of the day, I could respond with a yes or no answer. Like, yes, it does. No, it does not, without having to elaborate. So that already tells me that I need to go a little deeper as far as, okay, maybe posing the question again, but having a specific population in mind. Thus, Nan's mother, her situation, and that inspired, where my question went to next. Um, so now the question found me, and it was definitely just worded in a different way. How does music therapy impact elders challenged with the onset of early dementia? So then I started to think about how I could improvise, not having direct access to this population. And again, I spoke about interviewing my friend or just the conversations that we have had, and her already giving me a glimpse into how music um, has, the positive impact that music has on her mother's memory. Um, so then I started to think about, okay, what are some of the words, stereotypes, symptoms, ideas, anything that comes to me when I bring up the word dementia? So, of course, even though it's probably not even an association and it's not even a word that I necessarily like, but the word demented came up because that's what it sounds like. And forgotten, vessel for spirits, unknowing, fearful, what once was is no longer. And from this place, um, I started to think about the crunchy, uncomfortable aspects of grounded theory, um, the ways in which I would document my data, the memo writing, the open axial and selective coding. And memoing is really just the process in which the researcher writes down ideas about the evolving theory throughout the data procedures in an effort to discover patterns. Memos begin as rudimentary representations of thought and grow in complexity, density, clarity, and accuracy as the research paper progresses. So, the example that I gave just a moment ago was memoing. It was basically beginning to categorize common themes. Um, what are different emotions of, people who are challenged with dementia? Being able to group that. Maybe what are some of the neurological, you know, um, what is some of the neurological data found on people with dementia as it relates to music therapy? Like that's a whole other category, and it can be more simplified. But again, it begins to thought forms begin to develop around this topic, which begin to lead you into the direction of where are you looking for your next research, your next piece of research. Where, what do you want to know? What do you want to find out? So before I forget, I want to talk about open coding, and I just want to give some definitions that will help to clarify what their function is. Open coding includes labeling concepts, defining and developing categories based on their properties and dimensions, which I touched upon a little. Axial is the process of relating codes, categories, and concepts to each other via a combination of inductive and deductive thinking. So, inductive thinking is supplying strong evidence for the truth of the conclusion, and deductive thinking starts out with a general statement and examines the possibilities to each logical conclusion, something very specific. So, in short, it's like developing a storyline, and that storyline connects to, um, has a way of connecting to everything. So, it's like the storyline is the nucleus, and you have all these different factors that connect to that storyline, making it a whole. Um, And then finally, selective coding is the process of choosing one category to be the core category and relating all other categories to that category. That one I'm still working on because I think after it said category 4 times, I was like, okay, got it, category. So we're still breaking things down, but I have to go back and kind of look at that. And I would love feedback on what um, because we all are going to have our different ways of connecting with each methodology, what different tricks we have that help us remember. So there may be something, a takeaway or something that you get from this where you're like, oh yes, well, why don't you try looking at it this way? I am open to all of it. I definitely want to understand it deeper. Um, so then all of these things led to um, Okay, so one of the main symptoms that I'm focusing on is memory loss, right? So, what part of the brain is responsible for memory, cognition? Um, the frontal lobe, the amygdala, the hippocampus, the limbic system, which includes the hippocampus, the amygdala, and the cingulate. I think I probably left out a word. They hold relevance in processing memory. Um, and music can help build new neural connections through experience and exposure. This improving rehabilitative potential and the ability of the brain to rewire itself, which I was like, wow, it's really powerful. Um, and then taking me deeper and really wanting to connect with populations of people who have undergone um, what they spoke about NMT, which is neurologic music therapy, and this utilizes evidence-based techniques to treat the brain. So it's kind of one of those types of research that can take you from one end of the spectrum to the other, like simultaneously, where lines are intersecting and the information is changing, and you may come out of this, doing all of this great research and not necessarily having a conclusion because of um, the amount of change, that occurs. So I'm trying to think, did I miss anything? Because this would be the time. Like, does anyone have any questions? um, Oh, and then there was an experiential, and because I have a couple of minutes, I can talk about it. That I was thinking about the word recasting life inspired this, where you kind of are playing back behaviors, but you're incorporating and inviting um, different ways to go about doing it or saying things. But recasting life was something that made me think about this experiential. And just from a very general place, like today waking up and how these three songs like changed where I was in my mind. I might have been in a, I wouldn't say a depressed state, but a very indifferent place. And then hearing this particular song like triggered um, different things within me, within um, my, yeah, I would say like my limbic system for sure, and helped me to get motivated and more focused and um, brought focus back and rooted me into what I was going to dedicate my day to. Now, it's no way in comparison to the experience that, an elder um, challenged with dementia may be dealing with, but the idea of the impact that music can have on our memory, on our mood, on our focus, on our ability to create, like all of those things, it connects to it. And I definitely wanted an experiential to be a part of it. I was going to play some songs, but I rather just share that part of it. And I don't know if I did this already, but my aesthetic response was this is actually me looking the view that I have when I'm standing in the hallway looking into my daughter's bedroom. And for whatever reason, it was an opportunity to kind of erase the board, whatever had been going on prior to me getting into this presentation. This allowed me a clean slate. So I'm gonna stop here at 14:07, so I could put this on YouTube because it's under 15 seconds. I hope that there were some nutritious takeaways, and I said nutritious. And just thank you all for watching, and I hope that I brought a little bit of comfort um, to this within my discomfort. That I brought a little bit of comfort. I mean, I am smiling, so I definitely feel better about research in general. And looking forward to your feedback and talk to you soon.